spikes of grains were folded. They weren't broken. This was not the mark of a person stepping on them or a violent impact. A subtle force had folded the spikes. There was a strange, sort of mutation in the crystals of the grains, suggesting that a magnetic force or some type of energy had made the figures. It appeared to be a message from the heavens to us here on Earth. In 1996, at Oliver's Castle, a video was made of some illuminated spheres that began to flutter over the harvest fields, and in fractions of seconds they made an imprint of these same type of figures. On August 17, 2001, alongside the Schill-Bolton radio telescope, there appeared a set of two figures. Initially, a gigantic three-dimensional phase. At ground level, there was nothing visible that would make us believe that this was a phase. These were just little piles of weed. But that phase is not unknown. It is identical to the phase of Sidonia on Mars, a phase that was discovered on a mountain on the surface of that planet. And what is the other figure? A rectangular figure that turns out to be the answer to a message that was sent from Earth on November 16, 1974. Frank Drake, a friend of Carl Sagan, using the big radio telescope of Arecibo, Puerto Rico, had sent a radio signal to space to M13, the Great Nebula of Hercules, located 24,000 light-years away. He hoped that at some time some intelligent civilization would receive it and would respond. Radio waves travel at the speed of light, almost 300,000 kilometers per second. That radio wave would take 24,000 years to get there, and if there had been an answer, it would have taken 48,000 years to receive the reply. Who would be here on Earth to receive the answer? Nevertheless, the answer didn't take 48,000 years, but only 27 years, and not through radio waves, but through imprints on fields of grain. From the figure, it can be seen clearly that these beings are familiar with the elements of communications that exist here on Earth. In this case, the universal language of numbers, of mathematics. They also knew our components of life. According to the genetic code, there are variations on the father's side. It is mutated or changed. This suggests that they are a sort of transgenic beings, or we are a variation to them. The average height of these beings, at least the ones that appear in this design, is 120 centimeters, small with a big head, like many similar beings that have been observed in different parts of our world. In terms of location in their solar system, counting from their sun, they would be occupying the third and fourth orbits and the moons of the fifth planet. But if we look very carefully, they have 9 planets around their sun, a significant coincidence with our own solar system. Perhaps they are not answering from outside our solar system, but from inside, with bases on Mars, Earth, and the moons of Jupiter. Their means of communications is obviously not a radio telescope. That would be a very primitive form of communication for them. The form, in this case, is the same concentric and tangential circles that appear 1 year before year 2000 at the same place. This shows that in order to communicate with us, these beings had traveled through time and space, through cosmic folds, through interdimensional beings. They could do this because they mastered space and time. The fact that many of these figures appearing in fields in the south of England and in more than 25 countries are related to the latest discoveries of science indicate that there is a follow-up, a supervision of Earth's projects on their part. There appears to be an interest in helping human beings to remember a great deal of information that is already part of our own genetic code. If we were sown in this planet, all we have to do is remember. Little by little, scientists have been discovering that there are multiple dimensions, that we are multidimensional beings. We live in a material universe of 7 dimensions, and to act in this material universe, we have 7 bodies. One of them is the dense physical body. Then there is the astral body, which is the one of the emotions and desires, joined to the physical body through an energy umbilical cord known as the silver cord, which is broken when a person dies. The third vehicle is the lower mind, which is the one of the character and personality. When a person dies, the physical body dies, the astral body dies, and the character and personality die along with them. The fourth vehicle is the superior mind. the entity without psychic faculties, our extrasensory capacity. The fifth vehicle is the soul, the gathering place of our experience in past lives. The sixth vehicle is the spirit, which is our consciousness. The seventh vehicle is the essence. There are 7 bodies to act in the 7 dimensions of this material universe. Beyond the 7th dimension, like music in a superior octave, there is a universe parallel to this one, not a material one, but a mental universe, and the beings that originate there are the ones we know as angels, archangels, thrones, principalities, cherubs, seraphim, powers, dominations. That mental universe corresponds to the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensions, and beyond those, starting in the 11th dimension, there would be a 3rd universe that is spiritual. The spiritual universe would have created the mental universe. The mental universe would have created the material universe. So God would not have created us directly, but through intermediate hierarchies, acting through a group of ultra-terrestrial beings, beings from the mental universe, which we know as Jell, the shining ones, the sons of God. The first civilization to emerge from this last creation had a very auspicious development. In a short time, they advanced a great deal, and they passed very quickly from the first dimension to the second, from the second to the third, and from the third to the 4th dimension of consciousness, which means that as these beings evolved, they were helping other civilizations to evolve. But for those at the head, there came a moment when they became stuck in their own evolution. All of a sudden, those who were in the 5th and 6th dimensions were not able to continue to advance and make evolutionary progress. Why? The first 3 vehicles, the physical body, astral body, and the lower mind, constitute what we know as the material consciousness plane. They connect us through the material plane with a material universe of 7 dimensions. The superior mind, the soul, and the spirit constitute the plane of mental consciousness and connect us through mental consciousness to the mental universe, and with the 3 dimensions of the mental universe, the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensions. And the 7th vehicle, which we could also divide into 3, will, wisdom, and love, connects us through the spiritual plane with the spiritual universe, which would be the 11th and up. Those civilizations that have reached the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensions of consciousness not only have evolved on the material plane, but also at the level of mental consciousness. They have had a great mental development, but they have become stuck there. They haven't been able to contact the spiritual consciousness, because those who were their guides or teachers were beings of the mental universe. They fostered the evolution and development of the first civilization, this last great creation. So if the pattern and source of reference of the teachings had some limitations, these limitations become evident in the evolutionary development of civilizations. Their evolution process stopped. During the contact experience, the extraterrestrials related how a cosmic gathering had taken place, in which the ultra-terrestrial beings of the mental universe and the Jell, the creator parents, engaged in a dialogue in order to discuss what mistakes had been made.